Hi! Find a comfy seat because it's time for another mid-century modern style house portrait. It's like a traditional house portrait, except completely different. My goal when creating these house portraits is to give the homes a sense of playfulness and sort of make them feel more alive than a traditional house portrait. I always start by blocking in the colors and just kind of getting the general values. So the mid, light, dark, and the color scheme may or may not change throughout, but I like to just start off with where are the shadows, where are the light spots, etc. As you'll see in a minute, this lovely little ranch is made out of brick, which I love because I get to use my cute little brick pattern. The brush I'm using is called Ink Blot Liner, and the other brush that I'm mainly using, which is more of the brushstrokey gouache looking brush, is called Farley Canvas. Both are from Character Designer Toolkit by Francisco Beltran, which is available on Creative Market. There's a link in my bio that'll take you there. And as always, I am building this portrait in Photoshop. I get lots of questions about what program I use and whether I use a tablet. I do. I use a Wacom Cintiq. Here's me using it. Kinda can't believe that I used to use a mouse to do this, but there was a time. Anyway, as lovely as this house is, a lot of the main features of this portrait are going to be in the landscaping. It's always a challenge to figure out how to portray the houses around your subject while having your subject stand out, and in this case I decided to make the houses negative space, but I still featured some little windows and bricks. Now that I've got pretty much everything blocked in, it's time to drop in our plants. The first plant that's going in is some Morning Glory that's climbing up the lattice on the front of the house. This was a little tricky and I had to workshop it a bit. We've got two gradients going. We've got the gradient of the leaves, dark to light, and then we've got the gradient of the lattice, light to dark. I'm always trying to channel Mary Blair when I'm doing something like this, and looking at her work really helps me figure out how to portray plants. I tend to get a little overwhelmed working on plants, thinking that I have to portray every single leaf and every single petal, but referencing Mary Blair's work helps me break everything down into simple shapes. And that just makes the process way more fun for me, which will ultimately lead to a better product. I think this philosophy can be applied to any creative trade. The more fun you have, the better it'll be. Alright, the moment everyone's been waiting for. It's rock time, baby. Let's drop some rocks in. Rocks are a really underrated part of landscaping. As someone who just started gardening this past year, love a good rock. Moving on, time to drop in some clouds. Never know what clouds you're gonna get. This time I decided to go with these sort of puddle-shaped clouds. You'll see a lot of this type of cloud in 50s and 60s illustration. I also added in some flowers to the lawn, a little last-minute hue saturation check, make sure I have the best color scheme, and here is the finished product. Thank you so much for watching. Keep following for more vintage style graphic design and illustration.